What's up, Flick Connection? This is Darren, here to help you get more out of movies, and today we're going to go over the best horror movies you can currently watch on Amazon Prime. Amazon Prime? These people want to see Netflix videos, you dumb... Alright folks, if you are not a Amazon Prime member, you won't have free access to these movies, but you may want to watch this video for two reasons. One being, it's going to be good horror movie recommendations, some of which you maybe have not seen, and it'll also give you an idea as to whether or not the Amazon Prime service is worth the fees just for the movies. I find that it is. I find that I get a lot out of them. You'll see evidence of that here in this video, hopefully. Before we jump into the list, if you want to check out some sick merch, like this shirt, you can get it right now at our Teespring store. I'll put a link in the description below. Now let's start this list out with number 10 being the bottom of the list, with one that's not technically a horror movie, but it's damn close and it has a lot of horror elements, so I threw it in because I really like this movie. It's called Daybreakers. It did fairly well in the theaters when it came out. It's got Ethan Hawke in it, Willem Dafoe. It is a cool little vampire flick that takes place in the future where vampires have essentially taken over the population. They've sort of replicated to the point that they don't have humans to feed on and they have to farm them. Visually, this is a really cool movie. It's really stylish, it's really slick, but it's really well done. It's well put together. It's got some good little jump scares, as well as just sort of an interesting, engaging story from beginning to end, and it's just a little different. So many vampire flicks just really kind of fall short, and they're just not very good. This one's right in the middle of the pack somewhere, if not a little higher, so that's why I got it at number 10. At number 9, I'm going with one that I really want to rank higher, but I just really don't want to read the comments, days and days of comments on how this movie sucks, and that is It Comes at Night, which I think is one of the better movies of 2017. A lot of people didn't like it, and I don't blame them, actually. I think it was a poor marketing strategy for this movie. It really led you to believe it was about something that it was completely not about. It's just a nice, simple little movie, and it is essentially about a family in this sort of post-apocalyptic environment. You're not really sure what's going on, and that is the movie. That is the ride. That is really what you're doing, is trying to kind of get enveloped into this world and become part of it. I think the filmmakers did a great job if that was the goal. And I think it was, but the marketing really led you to believe you were going to see a monster movie. I'll go ahead and prep you. As technically, I'll just say the title is misleading on that one. The marketing was misleading. If you go into it with low expectations and you don't know anything about it, I think you'll be surprised at how good this one actually is. At number 8, I'm going with one that is much lower budget than a lot of the other ones on here, and it shows, but it's called The Blackcoat's Daughter, and it's a pretty typical straight-down-the-middle horror movie. It's just well done. That's why I got it at number 8. It's basically about these two teenage girls that start to see things, and it's kind of your typical thing, but rather than just sort of appealing to the masses, like so many movies that come out with bigger budgets, that come out with a wide release, this one really kind of just plays it well, does a nice job. I think horror fans will really enjoy this one. It's not going to blow your hair back, but that's why I got it at number 8 instead of higher up on the list. Now, at number 7 is one I really enjoyed. It's called From the Dark, and I've never heard anybody talk about this movie. It's another vampire movie, and that's not by design. I don't have a thing for vampire movies, but this one's really cool. It really centers more around a Nosferatu type of a vampire, and it's just about a couple, two people, that are essentially trapped in the countryside with this creature that is trying to get in the house and get them, and it resists light. That's their only weapon, is light, and light becomes more and more scarce as the movie goes on. It sounds kind of like Pitch Black, and it kind of is, but it's got some really good just classic horror elements. The ways that they run out of light are creative, and I bought into it from beginning to end. I thought they did a really good job with the story. I felt like I never felt like anything was too big of a reach where I was like, oh, come on. And that's really important in a horror movie for me. And I'm shocked more people have not seen this movie. Now, one of the crazier ones from 2017, at least it was released in 2017, and I'll get to that in a minute, is The Evil Within. Now, this is a super, super weird movie that I recommend cautiously. If you don't do super weird good, don't watch this movie. If you love super weird, watch this movie tonight. It essentially was created by a millionaire. I don't know if he was self-made or if it was an inheritance, but it was a guy who like Tommy Wiseau, a guy that had millions of dollars and he just threw it into a weird movie. He was a meth addict. The movie suffered all sorts of like hang-ups where they had to stop production for years at times because of lawsuits and deaths and all kinds of crazy stuff, and including deaths. The writer-director died before finishing the editing. It's essentially about a demon that inhabits the body of a mentally disabled man, like a 30-year-old man, and causes him to do some horrific things. It's got some crazy, like Michel Gondry-esque homemade special effects that are shocking, and it's a really cool little movie. And again, if you're into weird, if you want to see something weird that has a kind of a homemade vibe, this is the movie for you. At number 5, I'm going with one that kind of has mixed reviews. It's a foreign language flick called Them, and it's a home invasion movie. Straight down the barrel, very similar to The Strangers. If you liked those movies, you'll probably like this one. I think this one's a little bit better. It's got a little less of a cheese factor and a little bit more adrenaline and a little more, it's a little more realistic to me. But it's essentially about a couple who's getting terrorized by some hooded, what appear to be maybe even teenagers or young adults, trying to get at them and get in this house. And it's pretty horrifying, but nothing crazy about it. It's just, in my opinion, really well put together. Number 4, I'm gonna go with one probably just as controversial as It Comes at Night, but I think as far as horror goes, it's just, it's so much better than It Comes at Night, and that's The Witch. Now, a lot of people hated this movie, and again, it just comes down to expectations, but this one just, it feels real. It feels like you're watching the story of something that actually happened. Some of the subtle stuff in it that's not scary still has a creep factor to it, and it was so well done. I feel like it could have maybe been a little bit shorter. It's going to freak you out. The only issue I have with putting it on the list in this spot is I would imagine most people that would have liked this movie have probably already seen it. If for some reason you passed on it, I recommend giving it a shot. The worst you're gonna do is waste 90 minutes of your life, but you can easily waste 90 minutes trying to find a good movie to watch on one of these streaming services, which is why I make this channel and why I put out these videos. If you like this type of content and you've never been to this channel, definitely click the subscribe button. I put a new video out just like this one every single Wednesday, as well as other content on Mondays and Fridays. My number 3 pick is a really small film, and the director has actually seen some success and gone on to do some other things that I know you've seen. And that is Absentia. Now, this is a really cool, low-budget movie. Just be prepared that this is a small movie. I think it's really well done. It's basically about somebody sort of disappearing into the nether. There's possibly a creature that gets described multiple times that really sort of gave me the creeps when I watched it. It's a simple setup. It's actually sort of a horror movie adaptation on Three Billy Goats Gruff, where they're trying to cross the bridge and they keep getting sort of captured by the troll. This has got a similar type of thing where it's not a troll, but there is a creature that's preventing you from like passing on. That's kind of all I want to say. It's really kind of terrifying, and it's really well done given the small budget, which is why I want to put it at number 3. If you haven't seen this movie and you just got an itch to watch something you've never seen, this is a really good place to start. I think most people will enjoy this movie, unless you just have to see a movie that cost at least $30 million to make. Number 2, another one a lot of people have not seen. True die-hard horror fans, I know you've seen this one, so let me know in the comments if you have, and that is Behind the Mask. Now, this one is almost 10 years old now, but it is a really cool take on classic slasher movies. Kind of like Scream was kind of a different take on the genre when it came out. This one's a genre bender a little bit in that it's a documentary style story, which we've seen a ton of, but they're basically following someone who is a self-proclaimed serial killer that's prepping for a killing spree. And you sort of go with this guy, and he's a fun character. He's like, I feel weird saying that just now, but he's fun to watch. He's kind of funny and quirky, and the creators in the movie, the actors, they never seem to know whether or not he's serious or they're just kind of following a crazy guy. But it's really interesting, and it goes on this weird tangent that's fun, and it has kind of a small cult following. I think it should have a bigger following. If you've seen it, let us know in the comments below. I'm real curious to know how many of my followers have seen this movie. And now for number one, it just happens to be the best horror movie currently on the platform. Almost everybody's seen it. If you have not seen it, you need to watch it unless you're squeamish, and that is the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The remastered version is currently available on Netflix. This one is a classic for so many reasons. Even though it has a low budget vibe, it feels so real. This movie is so well edited and put together, and that is so important in this genre to scare you. You can't just have a monster. You can't just have Leatherface going around killing people, putting them on hooks. That's all terrifying, but when it's edited in a way where it builds dread, and as soon as you think it builds it up so much, and then it starts to relax, and as soon as you think everything's okay, he opens a door and grabs somebody and throws them on a hook. That is terrifying, and it just persists, and it never lets up. I've always loved this movie. It's a hard watch. They've tried to recreate it and do other things with it a bunch of times. Never as good as the original. If you haven't seen it, watch it. If you have seen it, watch it. I'll keep making these videos as long as you keep watching them, but thanks for watching this one, and you will see me next time.